Welcome to this tips and tricks video. In this video, you will see how product managers can leverage the capabilities in the rule-deduced criteria to seamlessly perform product configuration. Model definition is a dashboard app that helps you in seamlessly managing the definition of products with high variability and complex set of configuration rules. Product managers are often responsible for creating and managing the enterprise variability that contains variants, variant values, option groups, and options. This is a typical UI of product configuration page. It shows how product managers can select the unique variant values for each variant and options for each option group to complete the configuration. However, sometimes completing the product configuration has multiple challenges, like hundreds and sometimes thousands of variants and option groups, complex set of configuration rules defined for multiple variants and option groups, and sometimes time constraints. In such cases, you can leverage the capabilities of rule-deduced criteria to seamlessly perform your product configuration. Rule-deduced criteria aids in effectively completing the product configuration. This table is a simplified view of the capabilities of each criteria within the rule-deduced criteria. With no rules applied criteria, configuration rules are not applied. Pre-selected or default variants are not auto-populated at all. You can use this option when you want to complete entire configuration manually and without considering the defined configuration rules. With the compatible criteria, configuration rules are applied due to which you can only select the compatible variant. All incompatible variants are grayed out. However, default variant or pre-selected variants are not auto-populated. With the added criteria, configuration rules are applied and default variant is also populated automatically. All the incompatible variants are grayed out, which means you can only select compatible variants. With the complete criteria, default variants, selected variants, rule required variants are automatically populated. For the variants that does not have any rule, first variant in the list is automatically populated. You can click on the variant to know the reason of selection. The suggested variant can be accepted or changed as required. These criteria aids in completing the configuration with better agility. Now let us see how it works. This is a typical user interface of model definition widget. Before getting into product configuration, let us go through the variability and configuration rules. You can see I have 8 variants defined and all of them are mandatory. Let us go through each one of them. For the region variant, I have 3 values. For color variant, I have about 5 values. Similarly, for country, I have about 6 values. For camera, I have about 4 values. For the remote and memory, I have 2 values defined in each of them. For the blades and batteries, I have 2 and 3 values defined in each one of them. Now let us go through the configuration rules that are defined right now. In the configuration rule, you can set up a relationship between 2 or more variants. In this particular matrix rule, I have set up a rule between region and countries. With this rule, you can see everything except Germany and France, because they are not a part of Europe, are marked as not available. Similarly, I've defined rules for Asia and North America. Second configuration rule, again a matrix rule, is a rule between country and the color. You can see I have marked a few colors as a default for some of the countries. Like for France, I have orange as a default. For Germany, I have a blue as a default. Similarly, I've marked a few other defaults for respective countries. At the same time, some of the colors are not available in some of the countries. So similarly, I've marked them as not available in the rule definition. In the next matrix rule, you can see 8K camera is marked as not available in any of the countries, wherein HD camera is a default in all the countries. This particular rule again is a matrix rule, and it defines the rule or availability of different type of variants like memory, blades, and battery in different types of country. You can see for a basic blade, I've marked this as a default in all the countries. Similarly, large battery is a default for all the countries. And also I've made a few selection, and some of the variant values like 20 GB memory is not available in most of the countries. So this is how I have defined a matrix rule for country against the memory, blades and battery values. Now let us open the product configuration for drop zone Europe. Now what you see is a typical UI of a product configuration page. The first tab shows us all the criteria. Second tab shows us the unselected criteria. The third tab shows us the rule deduced criteria that we have selected. And this particular tab shows us the mandatory criteria that needs to be selected. Now let us first select the no rules applied criteria. You can see when we use the no rules applied rule reduced criteria, configuration rules are not considered, which means even though 8K camera is not available for any of the countries or any of the region as defined by configuration rule, it is yet available for selection and can be selected. Similarly, all the other variant values can be selected as needed. So let us select the variant values and complete the configuration. Now the second criteria within the rule deduced criteria is compatible. When you choose the compatible criteria, only the compatible options are available for selection. For example, when I select Europe as a region, you can see United States, Canada and India as well as China are disabled or grayed out and cannot be selected because in the configuration rules we have marked these as not available for the Europe. So you can only make a correct choice when you select compatible as a rule reduced criteria. Now let us select third option in the rule reduced criteria. Before that, let us make one selection. Now when I select aided, you can see all the default options are automatically populated. Along with it, all the options that are required as per the rule defined by the within the configuration rules are also automatically populated, and the pre-selected options are also automatically populated. You can select the remaining variants and complete the configuration. Now let us select complete as a rule reduced criteria. It asks us to select at least one variant value to begin the computation. Let us select France as a country. You can see all the variant values for each variant is auto-populated based on the suggestion and the configuration rules defined. You can click on the value and see the reason of selection. In this case, HD was selected because it was set as a default for France. You can keep it or you can change it to other variant value if needed. Similarly, you can review each of the values and change it if required.